This is 107.804 for trial 1. 107.804. The number here is 112.382. 112.382. And that's empty. Let me try to get the decimal point in there for you. And the new number now is 113.510. 113.510, or 113.51 grams. We now need to add 150 mils of water to each of the trials, to each of the beakers. So we're going to take our deionized water and fill up our graduated cylinders. We'll get close to the top and we'll be precise. We're going to add 150 mils to trial 1 and 150 mils to trial 2. Here's trial 2. Here's 100. And here's the 50. And now what we're going to do is we are going to stir this for 3 minutes, and then we're going to let it settle. So we're going to turn on the heat. We don't want this to heat super high, now that it's for the most part settled. We're going to put in our thermometer. It has to make sure we have to stay under 75. So we're going to put in our thermometer, and we're going to cover it with a watch glass for the most part, and we'll kind of just keep on and off. And we're going to heat this for a little bit, for 15 minutes to let it digest, okay? So we're going to heat these trials for 15 minutes, and we'll stir occasionally. And we're going to make sure that we don't get above 75 degrees. We've done good. We've hovered about 70 degrees and it's been 15 minutes, so we're going to take this off and we're going to let it settle. It doesn't necessarily have to cool, it just has to settle to be a clear solution. So we're going to put this off and down to settle. And while it is settling out, we're going to warm up some wash water. So I've put in just some regular GI water, about 30 mils in, a little over 30 mils, but we'll measure it out. And we're going to warm that up to use when we're going to rinse our stuff later on. So now we're just going to let this sit and settle, and then we'll be back to it once it's done. We need to take our filter paper and we're going to write trial 1 and trial 2 on it, and then we're going to get the weight, so this way we can get the mass by difference of our precipitate once it dries. So I went ahead and grabbed some Wattman number 42, and we wrote trial 1 and trial 2. And what we're going to do now is I'm also going to put them in our filters. So here is our part of our Buchner funnel. I wrote 1 as T1, and then I have the filter paper for trial 1 going in there as well. So what we can do is we're going to get a few weights for you. So here is the mass of just the top of the funnel, and that is 14.317. Again, 14.317. Let me see if I can move this down so you can see the point. There we go, maybe. A little bit, I don't know. So that's 14.317 with the filter paper in it. We are now 14.613. 14.613 with the filter paper in. So for trial 2, here's just the top of the funnel. The top of the funnel is 14.359. 14.359. And now with the filter paper going inside, we are 14.597. 14.597. So now that our sample 1 has settled very nicely and we've already pulled off our Supernatant from here, and we're going to spin that down the next step, we're actually going to filter this. So we have our filter paper and everything for trial 1. We're going to put that on. We're going to turn it on so we have a good seal. Okay, now we're actually going to filter our product. So we are going to filter sample 2. So we have number 2 going on. Okay, we're going to use our vacuum. First thing we're going to do is we're going to wet the paper, our Wattman paper, and we're going to turn everything on. So now we have our suction filtration going. Our paper is fully in, it's wet, and what we're going to do now is we are going to filter sample 2. We have let our precipitate right here is settled on the bottom. What we're going to do now is just pull up and fill in 2 test tubes, one marked 1 and 2. And we're going to fill it up part way through each one. Sorry, you see my glove. There we go. Just careful that we're just drawing off the supernatant and nothing else. And then we are going to put these in the centrifuge. And then one, I'm going to put the other one in 4. This is our good old centrifuge. We're going to turn it on, and we're going to spin these for a few minutes to make sure that we're just getting the supernatant by itself. We can shut it off after our quick spin. And then when this slows down, we're going to take them out to test them. So here they are, T1 and T2, and now we're going to take these and test them. So we have our 2 test tubes, test tube 1 and 2, and what we're going to do is, with the first one, we're going to test for any excess of the oxalate, the C2O4. And the way we do that is we are going to add calcium chloride. So that's this one right here. It's 0.5 CaCl2. And if we add it to the supernatant and we form a white precipitate, then that means that we have excess of the oxalate. Okay? So we'll do this one first. This is testing for extra oxalate. So we have our test tube here. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in a few of the drops of the CaCl2 and see what happens. So no reaction when we're adding CaCl2. Nothing is forming. So for our next one, what we're going to do is we're going to test for extra calcium. So we have our second test tube, and in this case we're going to add our oxalate solution. And in this case, remember, because we didn't have potassium oxalate, we're using ammonium oxalate, so that's a NH4 C2O4. Same idea though. I'm going to add a few drops and see what happens. And in this case, hopefully you saw it, it forms a white solid. So this is the test for excess calcium. Okay. The filter papers have dried overnight for 24 hours. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take these papers out and we are going to mass them on the balance. I have a watch glass here that I'm going to put on the scale, and we're going to tare it. Now we're going to take what was in trial 1, and we're going to pull it out and put it on. Oops, sorry. Okay. Make sure we get everything out off the sides as best as possible. Okay. So for trial 1, our new mass of the filter paper and the dried solid, or the dried product, is going to be 0.523. 0.523. We're going to put the watch glass on for trial 2. We're going to tare this, and now we're going to put trial 2 in. So we're going to take it out, put it on. We're going to scrape out everything to make sure we have it. Okay, all from trial 2. So trial 2, our new mass is 0.526, 0.526, and that's the mass of the filter paper and the dried product.